Well, good evening and welcome to the Ref's Opinion. This is your weekly look at the biggest refereeing decisions in the game. Each week we break down key incidents from matches, from controversial calls to the ones that flew under the radar. This is where we give a referee's perspective on the moments everybody's talking about. Were the officials right or did they get it wrong? So let's dive into last week's action and take a closer look. And by the way, if you'd like to make a comment or take part in the show by making a comment or asking a question, please do so. There's a little thing down there on the bottom right-hand side of the screen where you can make that comment. I'm delighted to be joined as always by former Premier League referee, former FIFA referee, former head of the PGMOL. Who are they? Well, they're the guys who look after the referees in the Premier League and in the Championship in England, and the man responsible for introducing goal line technology. Keith, thanks for joining me once again, Keith, and especially on an Easter Monday when most people have a day off, but on TV and in broadcasting, we don't have days off, eh?
Correct.
So, Keith, it's on a serious note now. There was an incident in the Southampton versus Arsenal FA Cup quarter-final where the referee was actually pushed by one of the Arsenal players who was trying to get on with the game, but he physically pushed him and got a yellow card for it. I don't know if you saw the game, and what was your opinion of it?
Well, first of all, I want to say that I think Sam Barrett as a referee is like a breath of fresh air. He's someone who moves around the field of play with consummate ease. He's got in his locker, he's got this, if you like, dynamic sprint that allows him, if he's caught out of position, to get into position. There was a player down, he was close by, and Martinelli of Arsenal pushed him away, and out came the yellow card. In all seriousness, and I've made that comment on social media and in various platforms where I write, when a player lays his hands on a referee, that has to be considered as a red card offence. You know, it's sacrosanct. You know, you wouldn't lay your hands on a police officer. If you did, you'd be arrested. And, you know, this is about the authority. It's about an incident where he will certainly learn from it. You know,
when you say he now, who do you mean he, Keith?
Well, the referee, Sam Barrett.
Yeah.
Because I think that the precedent that he set was one that nobody wanted, because, you know, the effect of this down at grassroots level could create a lot of problems. So, where the difficulty comes, because I would like this particular incident to be re-refereed by the disciplinary panel, to be investigated, and the player summarily suspended. Now, the reality is that FIFA and the FA do not like to re-referee football matches. And what gives them a problem at this moment in time is that the referee saw the incident and he delivered what he considered to be the appropriate sanction of a yellow card. And therefore, I think it will be unlikely, I'd be surprised if the FA say we're going to upgrade that yellow to red. They should do, in the interest of football throughout England and other parts of the world where these games are shown. So, yeah, very disappointing in Sam Barrett, who overall had a terrific match, let himself down on this one. You can't be friends with players. You have to apply the law.
And I use that example all the time, Keith. You cannot be friends with players. You're not there to be their friend as a referee. You are using a comment used by many people. You're judge, jury, and executioner.
Yep.
You're never see in legal terms, you never see the judge talking to the defense or the prosecution. Maybe in the judge's chambers, yes, but not out in the open. You never see them. And likewise with the referees, they, in the interest of fairness and transparency and all of that, and being unbiased, etc., you have to be seen to be absolutely neutral, and you have to be able to command that respect. And by a referee allowing himself to be pushed like that, and it might only be the tip of the iceberg. It could, if you can push one guy and get a yellow card, well, okay, I'll take it. And then another guy does it, and another guy does, and it gets worse and worse and worse and worse. It's just not on.
I mean, the precedent was set when referee Paul Alcock, the late Paul Alcock.
Yeah, I was trying to think of his name.
Was officiating at Sheffield Wednesday down the road from here. And,
you said he's late. You said he's passed away.
Yes.
I didn't know that.
With great sadness.
Yeah.
Really nice guy. And if you recall, it was Paolo Di Canio of Sheffield Wednesday who pushed him. And Paul was off balance, didn't help. And he it was a stumble first and then the fall. In a way, it looked comical at the time. But he immediately got up and produced the red card. And for me, that was the right call. I think the support that the football authorities gave was quite clear. The player, Di Canio, was suspended. And this was a player who later in life was awarded a fair play award because, if you recall, there was a player injured. The ball came to him with almost an open net, and he stopped playing.
Yeah, I remember.
He was not concerned about the injured player. So, whether that incident impacted on him, the Di Canio situation, the reality was that it did impact and served as a marker in the sand that, hey, you push a referee, it's a red card. And this one for Sam Barrett is a red card.
Can you remember in that Paul Alcock situation what the sanction was on Di Canio, if anything?
I think it was a lengthy ban. Yeah, I'd have to look up I don't want to quote inaccurately, but sure. It was, as I remember, it was a lengthy ban. It might have been 6 weeks off the top of my head.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, and it was in the same match where Di Canio had a chance to score and didn't, wasn't it? Was it not?
I don't know if it was the same game. No, I think this was a separate game.
Yeah. No, but absolutely, touching a referee, pushing whatever is absolutely out and should never, ever be tolerated. There are so many, you see little videos on social media every day of referees being chased. I know I was the victim of crowd abuse. I was assaulted in South Africa. I can remember it well when a guy ran on the field and punched me behind the right ear here. And if it weren't for excellent security that day, I don't know if I'd be here talking to you now. So that sort of even thoughts of taking a swing at a referee is absolutely out of the question and should never, ever, ever be tolerated. It's just appalling. I see Tommy Breen is in on the ball. Good evening, Tommy. You're on the ball quickly. Let's read out your comment. I was disappointed by the referee in the City v Liverpool game. I'm assuming you're talking about the FA Cup game, Tommy. No doubt City were so much better. I cannot understand or accept the manhandling of Kerkez, I think by the City player. Blatant manhandling off the pitch. Absolutely no intent to play the ball. Ref said nothing. Did you see that game, Keith?
I didn't, but I've read about that particular incident, and that comment is a valid one. We see all too often players. We talk about it almost on a weekly basis. Wrestling, and if you allow things to drift, as they have done in the penalty area, then it will spread. It will continue to grow. It's like a disease. If a player thinks he can gets away with it in the penalty area, he then thinks he can get away with it anywhere on the pitch. So I think I'd just like to see referees take a bit more authority. Incidentally, just looking it up, Paolo Di Canio was banned for 11 matches.
Wow.
And he was fined £10,000.
What year was that, Keith? Have you got it there?
Right.
It must be 20 years ago, I guess.
For sure. Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was in the mid 90s, I think.
Yeah, maybe more than 20 years ago. Yeah. And then he goes along and he gets a FIFA Fair Play Award.
Yeah, later on in his career, for sure. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, indeed. Tommy's come back in and he says the sin bin for 7 to 10 minutes needs to be introduced like rugby. They have been talking about something like that, Tommy. But like the wheels of justice move very, very slowly. The changes at FIFA or the IFAB also move very, very slowly. And just my personal opinion is that if they don't think of it, it's not good enough. If somebody sends in a suggestion which might be absolutely valid, like you have there, Tommy, they'll never approve it because they haven't thought of it. And and everything seems to favor the players, and the referees are left holding the baby. Excuse the expression. But
let me come in on that because for a number of years now, at semi-professional and grassroots level, certain competitions, certainly in England, use a sin bin, and that sin bin is really for only one thing at the moment, and that is dissent. Where a player shows dissent by word or action, he's shown the yellow card and he goes to the sin bin. It's not an object, it's just a position at the side of the field of play.
Similar to rugby, I guess, yeah.
Yeah, where he spends 10 minutes. So, and it works. I think there are times when referees forget that they've got that authority to use it. Where it is used, and I've seen it used at the club that I support locally, Penistone Church, I see that operate, and I've seen it operate very successfully because it's not just a player sanction, it's a team sanction as well, because they're down to 10 men. And of course, not getting into too big a complex situation, it's the only area in football, and I wish I'd got the notes with me to clarify it, but I can assure you a player can get 3 yellow cards when the sin bin is in operation.
Of course, yeah. Now,
so he gets a sin bin. He can have a double sin bin. Next week, I'll have that. I'll look it up and so I can inform you more accurately about the sin bin and how it operates.
So I'm just playing devil's advocate now. If he got a yellow card already, well, it gets a second yellow card. Well, that's a red card. So
yes.
The sin bin would only apply on the first yellow card.
Well, if he gets a second yellow on a sin bin, I don't want to get into too much detail there because I don't want to be quoting law inaccurately. But there is a point here where, for example, 2 sin bins at one point didn't mean a red. But I think there's been some amendments to it, and I'm not up to date because it's just a grassroots thing.
Okay, and Brian, who's a regular contributor, comes in and he says sin bin should be used for professional fouls that are intentional. I think they could be used for any fouls. Brian, absolutely shouldn't really differentiate that much. Just to move on then, Keith, a lot of changes, a lot of new changes to the laws of the game. And we have touched them in the past, but didn't sort of delve into them too much. And
No.
I'm speaking specifically now, it's amazing how quickly the goalkeepers have gotten used to only holding on to the ball for 8 seconds. They've copped onto that very, very quickly, which leads me to believe that if we brought in the other time-wasting changes to the laws, that they would quickly get used to that as well. And I'm speaking now of goal kicks, corner kicks, and throw-ins. Let's start with the corner kicks, Keith. Are you fully familiar with this one?
Well, I'm more familiar with throwing and goal kick because I'd just like to do it in order so people can remember it. So I think the big one has been the throw-in, and time wasting at throwing is very blatant. Everyone sees it.
Yeah.
So once the referee is satisfied that the player's in the right position, from that point, or even a point where he's not adhering, the referee will stick his hand in the air and count down 5 seconds. So throwing, countdown, once it's set, you're now 5 seconds, counting down. And if you then blow, stop it, the throw-in goes to the opposition. So the 5 second countdown clock applies for throw-ins, and the outcome is, if it's broken, the law is broken, a throw-in goes to the opposition.
Okay.
Goal kicks.
On that one, Keith. So from the moment he has the ball about to throw it in, the 5 seconds starts then.
Yes.
Now, what about the time from the time the ball goes out of play, when he straddles along and he picks up this ball, and then he just like that, he picks up the other ball, and so a lot of time wasted there as well.
Well, what we've got here is the lawmakers have handed the authority over to the referee.
Yeah.
So if he judges that there's nonsense going off with position, a delay, the team delaying the throwing, at any point, he can put his hand up in the air and start a countdown. So he doesn't have to wait for the player to have possession, because you know that what will happen is they'll delay possession.
Yeah.
Exactly. And what makes life easier for the referee, even to cut out the conflict between ball boy and the referee or the player in that situation, what you've got is you have balls now on the professional game in England sitting on cones around the pitch, so a replacement ball can be gathered fairly quickly by the player. So this is where I think this is a good law. It says get the authority back, stop delaying, and away we go. Now,
okay. Sorry, go on, Keith. Yeah, sorry.
So I hope you've got that. If the referee determines that there's delaying tactics going on at the throw-in, he has the authority now to count down and give a 5 second view.
Right. I see. I just want to read out more comments. There's another from Tommy here. And Tommy says, apologies for sending third message. Hey, Tommy, there's no apology needed whatsoever. Lovely to have you. The cost of going to a game is very high today. If a player receives 2 soft yellows, it can ruin the game. The powers that need to realize This is entertainment, expensive entertainment, perhaps a third color. You're kidding. Okay. I seem to have lost Keith somewhat, so I'll just go with another comment here from Brian. And Brian said, Brian Wexler, and Brian says, some fouls are not intentional. I watched the Leeds match where a slide tackle was won, but the follow through caught the player. It was a clean tackle, but how do you stop from sliding? The player got booked, and for me, it was never a yellow. Now, I've lost Keith for a moment, so I'm going to try and contact him again. So if you can just bear with me and indulge me, because we have been having, Keith is back now. Okay. Keith is back. So we lost you there for a while, Keith.
I know. I went out and had to come in. I got to thank you up on the StreamYard.
Okay.
Like,
okay. Just so Brian says, some fouls are not intentional. Well, I'm not sure about that, Brian. I watched the Leeds match. This is West Ham versus Leeds, the FA Cup quarter-final, which was played yesterday, where a slide tackle was won, but the follow-through caught the player. It was a clean tackle, but how do you stop from sliding? The player got booked, and for me, it was never a yellow.
Well, I think this player was very fortunate not to have a red. Look, let us make it clear. There are three areas on the laws of the game for foul challenges: a careless challenge, a reckless challenge, and one with excessive force. So what we had here was the player making the challenge was at one point off the ground, 2 feet forward, but not generally high. The player made the shot and then was clattered by the defender. That's a foul. That's a penalty kick. That's the laws of the game. And, the clean tackle that is made reference to there is where when the player makes the challenge, wins the ball without fouling his opponent. So here was a challenge, in my opinion, and the opinion of many referees, because I've had that debate today, who actually made the point. I mean, I was arguing yellow, okay, fine, but could have been red. I took it as, mainly a careless challenge at reckless at most. But he did. Winning the ball in this situation, he didn't win the ball, which doesn't matter. And the player getting his shot away doesn't matter either. So this is a perception that's coming in on with the media, that if you play the ball, you can do what you like afterwards. You can't. You have a duty of care towards your opponent, and you go back to the law. A reckless challenge is one where the player is effectively out of control. He's quite right that making the observation that player could not stop. He was out of control. And that is why we don't see many sliding challenges anymore, for the very reason this particular type of challenge, which should be effectively outlawed. Now, he didn't win the ball. The forward had got his shot away. But I just want you to go back to, a player can actually play the ball away and then get stumped. Does that mean that's not an offence? So we have to go back to basics, and we have to say that often, when a player has played the ball and then is challenged, and in that foot area, foul area, then a sanction is appropriate.
Yeah, and many times the foot that they tackle with, if you like, is not the problem. It's the hind leg. It's the trailing leg or the following leg that causes the damage.
Absolutely.
Absolutely right.
I'm really pleased. I'm really pleased that was raised.
Yeah.
Because I think the influence of the media is he got the ball, so it's okay.
Yeah. And the commentators and the
Commentators
pundits.
are saying we got the ball.
Yeah, I
You know,
got the ball. So we can do
there was
whatever we
another
like.
incident. There was another incident in another game where and it might have been the West Ham game. So the player scored with his boot, which was at the head height of a defender close by. It almost could have hit the defender. It didn't. So the argument was, well, it didn't strike the defender, so it's okay. The goal was allowed, by the way. This goal should not have been allowed. The boot was at head height. It was in close proximity to his opponent. Therefore, under the old money, we'd say that's dangerous play.
Indeed.
Under the new money, we say that's reckless.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. We didn't finish. We got sidetracked there, Keith, on the changes. We did the throw in. Another one is the player leaving the field of play in substitutions.
Oh, well, let me just cover the goal kick. The goal kick.
Oh, yeah.
We've got the goalkeeper with hands and we've got the countdown. We see the nonsense at goal kicks, delaying the restart.
Yeah.
And what they're now saying to the referees is, we're taking note and taking action on game flow, time played. Therefore, at goal kicks, again, if the referee believes that there's time wasting, up goes his hand, 5-second countdown. If nothing is done, then a corner kick is awarded. Which is, times many you and I have argued that the ball's not in play, therefore you can't commit an offence. Now, here's a goal kick. It's not in play. The players are delaying the goal kick, whoever they are. Countdown's 5 down, gone. Corner kick. With the substitutions, immediately the board goes up, the player's got 10 seconds to get off the field.
And just on that, who counts to 10 seconds? Is that the fourth official?
That can be easily done between referee and fourth official.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the referee is responsible for the timing. So he's got 10 seconds when the board goes up. Logic says fourth official helps the referee here. So what happens is, right, the substituted player is, if the 10 seconds is exceeded, is not immediately allowed on the field of play. And the referee restarts the game without the substitute replacement. 1 minute then is played before the consideration of bringing on the substitution player at the next stoppage. That will have, if referees carry these things out, they will impact for sure on the game. I'm
just wondering if a lot of this is going, the referee is going to follow through on it. That there are some countries who are great at introducing legislation and having it passed, but then not very good at carrying it out. So these new amendments, if you like, or upgrades, or call it what you like, to the laws of the game are being introduced. But then you have to get the referees to do their job and follow through and make sure that they apply the laws of the game, be they the original ones or the amended ones. Because if they don't, the players will think, it's just another thing. They're not going to bother.
Well, I mean, you're perfectly correct. This is in England. It's down to the FA and the PGMOL through its organisation. And it really is a simple process, or was a simple process under my regime, because I had at every game an assessor, an independent former referee or assistant referee assessing the performance, as well as a match delegate. And I could then say to the referees at conference, these are the new laws, which were always delivered by the Football Association, not me. So the Football Association, in my era, it was Neil Barry, head of referees at the FA. He would deliver the law changes at our annual conference. I would then follow up by saying to all the referees, all the assessors, these must be implemented. And with the assessors, if they're not implemented, I need that on the report and impacting on the mark that the referee will receive. So quite clear. I think the policing of it is important, but I think it has to have substantial backing of the PGMOL. So this is down to Howard Webb now to get the messages across at the annual meetings that he has with every manager at the professional level, and make certain that he is aware that these are going to be enforced, because the track record under Howard is not that good. If you remember, wrestling, grappling, rugby style challenges, they were going to be dealt with. And I didn't see any of it. I didn't even see a whisper that a referee was going to take any action on it. It seemed to
remember the wrestler Mick McManus.
Yes.
That's what's going on, Keith. Oh my goodness, we're way over time again.
Yeah.
And thanks very much again, Keith, for joining us.
Pleasure.
We'll do it all again next week. And thanks to Tommy and to Brian for sending in your comments.
Absolutely.
There were a few more points that I was going to bring up, but we'll bring it in next week. Until next week, same time, same place. Thank you very much for watching, and good night. Thank you.
Take care.